We're going to jump back in to Perek Mem Aleph in Bereshit. Vayihi miketz shnatayim yamim uparo cholem v'hinei omed al hayor. Right, and we highlighted the 2 years, right, and this concept of for Yosef how long this feels, how intense this feels, that so much time has passed and all his hope in Sar Hamashkim has left. Right, but Paro has a dream. He's standing at the edge of the Nile. V'hinei mina ye'oro lo shel parot yefot mar'eh ubriot basar v'tir'ena ba'achu. And all of a sudden, 7 beautiful, full, fat, healthy-looking cows come out of the Yaor, and they start grazing on the side. Pasuk Gimel, v'hinei sheva parot acherot olot achareim min haYaor ra'ot mar'eh v'dakot basar. V'ta'amodna itzel haparot al sfad hayor. And then 7 horribly ugly, pathetic, skinny-looking cows come out after them, and they are now grazing right next to the fat, full ones. Pasuk Daled. V'tochana haparot ra'ot hamar'eh v'dakot habasar. At sheva haparot yefot mar'eh v'habriot v'yikatz paro. Right. All of a sudden, the 7 skinny cows swallow the 7 full cows, and boom, he wakes up. Pasuk Hey. Vayishan vayichalom shenit. He goes back to sleep and he has another dream. V'hinei sheva shibalim olot b'kana achad briot v'tovot. V'hinei sheva shibalim dakot u'shtuvot kadim tzomchot achareim. Right? First, again, our 7 full, beautiful bundles of wheat, or bundles of wheat come up, and then all of a sudden, 7 pathetic, wind-blown-looking ones grow right after. Vativlana hashibalim adakot et sheva hashibalim habriot v'hamleot. Right? And the skinny ones swallow up the big ones. Vayikatz paro. And he wakes up again. V'hinei halom. And that was his dream. Pasuk Chad. Vayihi b'boker. V'tipa'im rucho. Vayishlach vayikra et kol chartumei Mitzrayim. Ve'et kol chachameha. Vayisaper paro lehem et chalamo. Ve'in poter otam leparo. Right? He is so agitated over this dream. He is so overwhelmed. Right, that he calls every brilliant man, astrologer, magician, anyone and everyone to try to interpret this dream, but no one can. Pasuk Tet. Vayidaber sar hamashkim et paro lemor. And now the butler resurfaces, right? And it's everything that we mentioned last week, that Sar Hamashkim was the answer to Yosef's tefillot. It's just coming later and in a different way than expected. Right? And what does he start with? Right? And you have to feel his awkwardness. Right? This is super awkward that I have to bring up our past. Right? My past when I made a huge mistake. Right? Pasuk Yud. Paro katzaf alavadav. Vayutino ti b'mishmar beitzar hatavachim oti ve'etzar hofim. Right? I messed up. And the king was angry both at me and the baker. We both ended up in the jail. Pasuk Yud Aleph. And both of us had a dream on the exact same night. Pasuk Yud Bet. Visham itanu. And they're with us. And here, this literally domino of insult. Right? There was this Na'ar. Right? Na'ar is young. Right? And I know in today's times we'd all love to be called a na'ara, right? But that's not what this is saying, right? It's an immature vibe, right? This na'ar. Excellent, right? He was Behu Na'ar back in Perek Lamed Zayin.
How old
right?
do you think he is?
At this point, he should be in his 20s. So he's not really Na'ar. But you definitely feel the vibe of Sar Hamashkim, how he's perceiving this kid, right? This Na'ar. Next, he's an Ivri, right? And as we'll see in just a chapter and a half, that they saw Ivrim as a toeva. They wouldn't sit at the same table and eat dinner with them because Ivrim were such a negative concept, right? I want us to be able to translate the word Ivrim as not a Jew. There was no such thing as Jews yet. It's literally Ever Layarde, from the other side of town. Right? And for us, other side of town maybe has one connotation, but I think if you think in American terms of 100 years ago, or maybe even 120 years ago, the North versus the South, right? Someone who grew up in the North, right? Someone from the South, right? That has such a negative connotation, right? He's an Ivri, and in case he wasn't lowly enough in your mind, Eved, a servant. right? Every derogatory insult you could possibly come up with, you just threw Yosef under that bus. We're in Perek Mem Aleph, Pasuk Yud Bet. Right? So the Sar Hamashkim is talking and describing Yosef so ugly, right? L'sar hatabachim unesaper lo vayiftar lanu et chalamotenu ish kechalamo patar. But that night we both had a dream. He actually translated our dreams for us. And let's be honest, Pasuk Yud Gimel Vayihi kasher patar lanu kain haya oti heshiv al kani v'oto tala. And this is the first time that we have to acknowledge that Sar Hamashkim's interpretation wasn't such a wow factor. What was the wow factor? The Sar HaOfim's dream. Because if you are Yosef and you know this guy has 3 more days in your jail, even if you actually know the interpretation of the dream, and the interpretation of the dream is in 3 days, he ain't gonna make it. Right? What would most people do? Not tell him, right? Sugarcoat it, right? Don't tell him exactly, because who cares if you're wrong? Is he gonna come back at you in 3 days?
That's not Yosef either.
Exactly. Meaning, so what Sar Hamashkim is highlighting here is, yes, he translates dreams, but he is just blunt, and he'll say it like it is, and he's not scared to say it like it is. So he has the talent and the confidence to just tell you what your dream is going to be. Pasuk Yudalid, Vayishlach Paro, Vayikra et Yosef, Vayiritzuhu min Abor. Right? So Paro sends for him. He gets Yosef. They pull him out of this jail. Vayigalach, they shave him. Vayichalif simlotav, they change his clothes. Vayavo el Paro, and he is brought before Paro. Vayomer Paro el Yosef, and Paro says to Yosef, Chalom chalamti upoter enoto. I had a dream and no one's able to interpret it. But you know what I heard? I heard you hear dreams. Boom! You can translate them. Now, most people expect, and on a certain level, rightfully so, they assume what is going to be Yosef's response. The Yosef we know and love until this point.
Shows off the.
Of course. Yeah, I do. I got this, right? I 100% can translate your dream. But you know what would be fabulous, Paro? Let's make a deal. I'll translate your dream. And since you're my only ticket out of this place, I'll negotiate. I'll translate for you if you give me a free pass. And now we'll look at his famous line, right? Vaya'an Yosef el Paro lemor. And Yosef responds and says to Paro, Bil Adai, it is not me. Elokim ya'aneh et shlom Paro. God will translate your dream. Now I want to first acknowledge that what did we just witness out of him? What growth.
Like a shift.
Right? Like what a major shift. Now he's definitely, it's been a bunch of years already, right? We've jumped through years and he's possibly even upper 20s and we're tagging on 30 already. So he has grown, he has matured, but I want us to appreciate the level of growth and maturity just to tap in for a minute. I'm not expecting anyone.
Where do you see that he's sorry? Where does it say that he makes this deal with?
He doesn't. I'm saying that's what I expected him to do. I opened the shot and I'm like waiting for it. Right, but instead it's no. Biladai, it is not me. Elokim ya'aneh shlom Paro. Only God can help you.
Okay, 2 years in jail.
Good. So meaning 2 years in jail, he has clearly come a long way, and I want us to appreciate what that long way is for a minute. Right? I don't do this, but I know there are those that do. Anyone know in the Art Scroll Sitter that page after Shacharit that has the list for names? That if your name, let's say my name is Yosefa, so it would be a yud and then a hey, and a pasuk that starts with a yud and ends with a hey. Sorry?
It's in a lot of siddur.
Yeah, oh, not just Art Scroll? I feel like I've only seen it there. Okay, so it's in a lot of siddurim. Why does that exist? What is the concept of that page? The backstory of that page, the idea is that after 120 years, when you're standing in front of Melech Malchei HaMelachim, and he says, oh, what, hey, I'm sorry, what was your name? You're gonna be so overwhelmed and intimidated in fear you won't even remember your name. But you know what you might remember? The pasuk you say every day, and then you'll literally be like, oh, that's the pasuk. Okay, so my name must start with a yud, ends with a ah, Yosefa, I got it, right? But what's so powerful about that is the scene. What is that explaining with that name? It's explaining when you are standing in utter fear for your life, in whatever sense that means, or petrified to your core, what comes out of your mouth? Only truth, right? Only the things you have worked on and mantraed to yourself, right? That's the point of the pasuk. Let it be a mantra to you. In this moment of fear, he is standing in front of the king of Egypt, the only man who could get him out of jail. What comes spewing out of his mouth? Truth. We're in Perek Mem Aleph, pasuk Tet Zayin. Right? In his moment of fear, and in your moment of fear, does ego come out, generally speaking? No. Ego falls by the wayside when you are in your moment of trepidation. And ego fell by the wayside. And he is speaking to the truth of his core. Biladai. This talent actually isn't mine. Elokim yaneh shalom paro. God. God is the only one. Right? And in this pasuk, Yosef is reminding us all of this exact message. We are all born with kochot and uniqueness, and that is wonderful. But we must consistently remember, Biladai, it's not mine. Elokim, right? It is all God, and he gave me this gift. So in that blurt of honesty, right, he says that, and Paro takes this as the invitation, so he's going with it, right? Pasuk Zayin. Okay, so Vayidaber Paro al Yosef, and so Paro continues and says to Yosef, okay, so Bachalomi, Hineni omeid al Sfat hayaor. In my dream, I was standing at the edge of the water. V'hinei min hayaor olot sheva parot briot basar v'yifot toar v'tir ena ba'achu. Right? 7 gorgeous, full, fat cows are coming out of the water and they're grazing. V'hinei sheva parot echarot alot acharehem dalot v'ra'ot toar me'od v'rakut basar. Right? And so far, everything's the same. But all of a sudden, you know how on certain movies that you rent on like Amazon or whatnot, they have bonus features, right? And the bonus features are like the unedited scenes, like the scene went on a little bit longer than they actually showed you in the movie, right? In case you haven't seen it, most movies have this at the end, right? That's what this pasuk is. It's the bonus feature, right? Paro was like, oh, there were 7 of these horrible ones, and then here's my bonus feature, Lo ra'iti kahena b'chol eretz Mitzrayim la'roa. I have never seen such horribly ugly skinny cows, right? Bonus feature, there's going to be again. Pasuk Chaf, Vatochalna parot harakot haraot, et sheva parot harishonot habriot. And then, right, this we saw already in the movie, right? The 7 skinny cows swallow up the 7 fat cows, but then, here's bonus feature. Pasuk Chaf Aleph. Vatavona el kirbena, velona da kibao el kirbena, umaran raka asher batchila. Right, it was crazy. The 7 cows swallowed those big cows, but you couldn't tell. Their bodies didn't get any bigger, right? They were just as scrawny. And then Vayikatz, I woke up. Pasuk Bet Vayira b'cholomi v'hinei sheva shibalim olot b'kaneh achat meleot tovot. Right, and now the second dream was the 7 stalks of beautiful wheat. And then those 7 pathetic, wind-blown looking bundles of wheat. Right, and in the second dream, the pathetic ones again swallowed the good ones. And I have told this dream to many magicians and astrologers alike, and no one is able to do it, aka Yosef. Can you be the one? Pasuk Kaf He Vayomer Yosef el Paro. Yosef says to Paro, well, yes, Chalom Paro echad hu et asher Elokim oseh higid leParo. Right, and again, he's going to bring God into every piece of this. Right, yes, your 2 dreams are actually one, because you know what, Paro? God is including you in his plan. Pasuk Chavav, Sheva parot hatovot sheva shanim hena, v'sheva hashibalim hatovot sheva shanim hena, chalom echad hu. Right? The cows and the wheat, same representation. The first good-looking ones, those 7, they represent 7 years of good. Pasuk Chav Zayin, v'sheva haparot harakot v'haraot ha'olot acharehen, sheva shanim hena. And those 7 yucky ones, both sets also just represent 7 other years. V'sheva hashibalim harakot shtufot hakadim yu sheva shnei hara'av. Those represent a famine. Pasuk Chavchet. Hu hadavar asher dibarti al paro asher elokim oseh hara al paro. Wow, Paro, you are lucky. God is literally letting you in on everything that's happening, right? He is telling you explicitly. Pasuk Chavtet. Hinei sheva shanim ba'ot sava gadol b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. We are going to have the best economic boom in the next 7 years. But then 7 horrible famine years are going to come after. And the representation of the 7 cows swallowing and never getting bigger, right? Those 7 years are going to be so bad. No one will even remember we had good years here. This famine is going to wipe out the country. Right? You'll never know there was ever a sava, there was ever so much food before, because the ra'av will be so bad. It is going to be that heavy on us. Pasuk Lamed Bet, Va'al hishanot hachalom el paro pa'amayim. And the fact that you had this dream twice in 2 slightly different ways. Ki nachon hadavar me'im ha'elokim. God is sure, right? There's no, this is like, I always think of this pasuk of the concept of nivu'ah, right? Sometimes nivu'ah is to warn you to fix it, right? You can fix this and change it. But here he's saying, nachon davar, right? This is set, this is in motion, and it's gonna be my hair, it's coming, keharifine, it's starting. Pasuk Lamed Gimel, and now comes this random unsolicited advice. That if I were standing in the palace at this moment, I'd be scared that Yosef is pushing the envelope, right? But he is. Pasuk Lamed Gimel V'ata, and now Yera Paro ish navon v'chacham. Paro, you must hire someone brilliant. Vayishitehu al eretz Mitzrayim. You need to appoint him to literally become in charge of this country. Ya'aseh Paro v'yafkid pikidim al haaretz v'chimesh et haaretz Mitzrayim b'sheva shnei hasava. You have the chance to save this country during the 7 good years. And let's take a moment and pause. Yeah.
It's just interesting also that, by them admitting that, not just Joseph himself admitting, but them acknowledging it, they're also admitting there's a higher power.
Yes, they believe in gods. Don't forget, Yetziat Mitzrayim. They believe in tons of gods. That's the problem. They believe in multiples.
But it's different than the Paro later in Mamash Mitzrayim.
Yes.
She was like, we didn't want anyone to see him by the Nile,
Yes, he was of the gods, of the money, of the money. But I want us to appreciate, it is brilliant. I don't want to take away from Yosef's plan, but he is using the information he has. Meaning, what is Egypt known for? Don't think Tanakh, think your history projects from elementary school. What is Egypt known for?
The Nile?
That's true, but I think that's more Tanakh.
Tremendous power. I mean,
why?
Pyramids.
Pyramids, excellent. And what's inside the pyramids? Mummies, right? They were known for pyramids and mummies. What is a mummy?
It was one of only the kings.
It's not only kings, any higher ups,
Anybody, yeah.
right? You would mummify them, aka mummifying means you're preserving the actual corpse, right? What do you need to preserve a corpse? Formaldehyde, right? I would say in today's times, but preservatives. What is Yosef saying? Use what you already know how to do. You know how to preserve a human body. So now let's take that talent of preservation and create safe for consumption preservatives to create literally canned foods. And my personal favorite, Duncan Hines, that can just stay on that shelf for months and months, and you just have to wonder what the heck is in that powder, but I love it anyway. But this is what he's tapping into, meaning Ish Navon V'Chacham, meaning he's not saying you need literally a man of God. This isn't God. You guys got this. You know how to do this. Just rechannel the gift you already know how to use. Right? So you can use it during the Sheva Shnei Hasava. Then Pasuk Lamed Hey, Vayikbetzu et kol ha'ochel hashanem atavura ba'ot ha'ila, Vayitzberu bar tachat yad paro ochel be'arim v'shamaru. During the 7 good years, you're going to collect. There will be a tax, and instead of money, you don't need money now. You need food. There will be a food tax that you will collect, and literally you're going to stock up your pyramids, right, during those 7 years full of food. Sorry? Oh, sorry. I thought I heard a question. Pasuk Lamed Vav. V'haya ha'ochel lepikadon la'aretz l'sheva shnei hara'av asher tiyena be'eretz Mitzrayim v'lo tikaret ha'aretz b'ra'av. You will potentially, if you do this, be able to save this country from destruction in 7 years. Pasuk Lamed Zayin. Vayitav hadavar be'enei paro uve'enei kol avadav. They listen to this and they're like, gosh, you're right. Good call, right? Good call, Yosef. Okay. And then Pasuk Lamed Chet. Vayomer paro el avadav. Paro looks at his servants and he says, we gonna find somebody else like this who's this connected to God? Now what's so powerful is Yosef explicitly said, what kind of guy are you looking for? Navon v'chacham, someone smart. He did not mention God. And yet, Paro watches this and he was like, I don't need smart, because biladai, it's all God. And someone who is this connected to God, this is the guy I need, right? This is the one I want, right? So I will not find anyone like him. Pasuk Lamed Tet, Vayomer Paro el Yosef. So Paro says to Yosef, Acharei hodia lo kimotcha kol zot, einavon v'chacham kamocha. Right? After everything you just said, I'm not going to find someone smarter than you, because biladai, smart is not yours. Smart is his. And what's so amazing about that response is it's such a reminder to us when we wear our belief in God on our sleeves with genuine truth, people see it, respect it, and acknowledge it, right? And that's exactly what God is saying. You're right, you convinced me. Biladai, people don't have talents. It's all him. And you got a direct line. So I choose you. I won't find someone better than you. Pasuk Mem, Ata tihiyeh al beiti. You are now in charge of my house. Al picha yishakol ami rak hakisei egdal mimecha. Right? Everyone is going to trust you. Your mouth will literally be the direction. And so similar to the way that Potiphar said it to him, right? There's just one thing I'm denying you, right? You have free access to everything. One thing I deny. Potiphar said his wife, and what is he denied here? The throne. Right? Pasuk Mem, Aleph Vayomer Paro el Yosef, and then Paro says to Yosef, Re'eh, natati otcha al kol eretz Mitzrayim. Check it out. I am putting you in charge of this country. Vayasar Paro et tabato me'al yado, vayiteno ta'al yad Yosef. He takes his ring off and hands it to Yosef, right? Which is why I hope you hear the echo, because there is so much to compare. Who is he resembling? Sorry? Achashverosh, right? This is the Megillah, right? There are very few characters in Tanakh that live, number one, outside of Israel, but not just outside of Israel. Where specifically? In the foreign palace, right? When you look at the few characters, you're going to have Yosef, you have Esther, you have Daniel, and Lai Moshe.
Yehuda, did he send to Tamar the ring?
Oh, that was part of his identification. Yeah. Yes, but this is the sign of leadership concept, right? So Yosef, Esther, Daniel have tons in common, right? So he gives him the ring. Vayalbesho to Bigdeshesh. Yes, and Daniel. I think he falls smack in, right? So very much so. Bing,
What
right?
did she-
We
what did
can
you say?
keep the chart going. It's
What did you
amazing.
just say? And-
Rachel's children.
Oh.
That and Vayalbesho to big day shesh, he puts him in beautiful royal garb. Vayasem revida zahav al tavaro, right, on that beautiful like gold necklace collar, right? He is wearing Vayirkavo to b'merkava hamishne asherlo, and he puts him on this royal chariot. Vayikru lefanav, right, similar to Achashverosh, right? And they call before him as he's walking. Avrech, this man should be blessed. V'natono to al kol eretz Mitzrayim.
And it's not his dad giving him the coat. No.
Yes,
Something
no,
else.
somebody
Different
else.
Madrigal.
But
Okay.
exactly Abby's point, and this is going to be huge for all intents and purposes. I want you to appreciate this. What is Paro acting as in this entire scene?
His
A dad,
dad, yeah.
right? The dad is going to do all of these things for their child, right? They give them the dynasty of the family, they clothe them, and it's going to go way deeper in a second, right? Pasuk Mem Daled Vayomer Paro El Yosef Ani Paro Ubiladecha Yarim Ish et Yado ve'et Raglo b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Yes, I am Paro. I am still the one in charge, but it is you who will give the power to anyone to do whatever they want in this country,
It's also interesting because later on Yosef will say, "Ani Yosef," like later.
but only to his family.
Not just that.
We're
but
gonna focus on that in a second, because this next pasuk is crucial. Vayikra Paro Shem Yosef Safnat Paneach. Paro changes Yosef's name to an Egyptian name, Safnat Paneach. Vayitain lo et Asnat bat Potifera Kohen on Liisha. And he marries him off to a woman named Asnat bat Potifera, which we'll talk about again in a second. Vayetze Yosef al Eretz Mitzrayim. And Yosef goes out onto Egypt. Now these psukim are huge on so many levels, but we're only going to dissect a few, right? Partially what we were just saying, right? What else does a father do for their child? They give them a name, and they arrange their marriage, right? Meaning Paro has just adopted Yosef as his own into this family. And when we watch the end of the entire Sefer, right, that's going to be a piece that Paro was a father figure to him, for good and for bad, right? It's not all rainbows and butterflies, but there's something both bitter and sweet in this. That Yosef finally has a family in some way again, but it's Paro, not his actual dad, right? But now I want to appreciate everything that Paro just did, because you have to give credit where credit is due. This man is brilliant. Paro. Why does he do all of this for him? What inherently is the subtext of everything he just said? I made you in charge. I gave you my ring. I gave you Egyptian clothes. I gave you the Egyptian look. I gave you the Egyptian chariot. I gave you an Egyptian name, and I gave you an Egyptian wife. Why?
It's the opposite of what Ivri Anochi.
Good. He is flipping the Ivri Anochi, but I want you to psychoanalyze it.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of the whole, what they say about Daniel.
Excellent, right? If we compare Yosef and Daniel got a Babylonian name, Belshazzar. He just doesn't take it. He just is like, all right, whatever. When you call me, I'll respond to Belshazzar. But other than that,
Definitely trying
Daniel.
to assimilate them.
Good. I'm trying to make you someone else, but brilliantly, why?
To keep him next to him.
You'll be
Good.
next
Number
in
one, I
line.
want literally kind of like a leash, right? But
It'll
even
also make
more.
It'll make him more acceptable to all the Egyptians. That way he knows that he'll be listened to.
Excellent, and take it even one step further.
Paro's still in charge of him if he's the father.
Definitely true, but I want to go on that point for a minute. Who is Yosef? Don't forget, we just saw in the beginning of the chapter. How is he perceived?
A young Jewish
A
slave.
Na'ar Ivri Eved.
A
And
young
let's take it
Jewish
even
slave.
one step further. Why is he in that jail? He was accused of attempted rape of his master's wife. If a soul got wind that a Na'ar Ivri, Eved, accused of rape, just became second to the king, there would have been a revolt. No one's taken that. So Paro looks at him in the eye, I imagine, and says, sweetheart, Yosef is gone. There is no more Yosef. You are now Tzafnat Paneach, and I will make you look Egyptian. I will give you everything you need, even to the point of a wife. Because back in the day, yichus was a thing. You can't marry without a background check, right? Of the dowry and who you are and where you come from, right? Which is why the Mefarshim say it's most definitely a fun play on words. Who is this girl? Asnat Bat, what does it sound like? Potiphera. Says Chazal, this was Potiphar's daughter, because they had to literally suck Potiphar's family into this lie and facade so that they would have this blackmail piece too. Oh, I'm Paro, so I'm gonna force your daughter to marry who I tell her to because I'm the king. And I'm gonna make her be the one that marries because will you ever want anyone finding out who it is? No, you're gonna lie about it. You're also gonna say, oh yeah, our families go back, oh it's so crazy, yeah. But it's great, because they're the only other people that would go in on this lie with him. And what's so powerful about this scene is hold your spot for 1 minute and jump to Sefer Shemot, Perek Aleph. Pasuk Chet. Vayakam melech hadash al Mitzrayim, asher lo yada Yosef. And that pasuk always bothered me. A new king came in Egypt, and he didn't know Yosef, hence he ends up enslaving the Jewish people. And to me that pasuk is like, I'm sorry, that's like someone saying, oh, I'm sorry, who's Ben Gurion? Oh, I don't know. Golda Meir, no, I don't know a Golda Meir. I don't know what you're talking about. What? These are the founding fathers of your country, so to speak. What do you mean he doesn't know Yosef? This is the guy who saved the Middle East from a famine and turned you into, as we'll see in Sefer Bereshit, the world power you become. It's credit to him. What do you mean you don't know Yosef? I'm sure his picture's on the wall. But of course he doesn't know Yosef. He knows Tzafnat Paneach. If you asked me about, oh my God, Tzafnat Paneach, of course I know that, dude. What do you mean he's a Jew? They have no idea. And everything in the rest of this story will make so much sense because when Yosef's family comes, not only does he kick everyone out of the room when he admits who he is, but where does he tell them to live? Goshen. Oh, you guys, you say you're shepherds, because that's no one's gonna want you here. So you'll be in the outskirt edge city where no one connects us, because I can't be Yosef. I'm Tzafnat Paneach. And this is the level of brilliance of Paro, but at the same time blackmail of Yosef, that he is now tied to this and can never truly admit who he is outside of this inner circle of people, because this is the facade that is able to keep him alive, sustained, and changes the entire dynamic. And don't forget, he has personal stake in this too, not just for freedom. He knows the interpretation of that dream. And if he doesn't make this happen and save Egypt, it's not just Egypt. As we see in the next chapter, where does this famine hit? The whole Middle East. And if he can't save those 7 years of good, he will lose Yaakov, he will lose his brothers. The Jewish people would end in this book, because that's how bad the famine was going to be. So he has personal stakes. So I gotta make this work. I gotta make this happen, because this is the only way I can save everybody. Okay, everybody with me still?
Yeah, just to understand before, when you're saying that Potiphar, like, that's the only family that would go in on the lie, are you saying, why? Because, like, is Paro getting back at Potiphar's wife, or like saying, yeah, you're gonna give him,
That's a next level. I view it as the concept, he needs to get Yosef married, right? Because he needs to fake he has a family, an Egyptian family background. who can I get in on this to quote buy in enough to lie and keep this lie going?
But
Who
he's
else
king,
has
he
a
could've-
stake in this?
He could have, but he could have, like, I'm saying, as a king, he could have done that with anyone.
Yes,
He could've,
but it all the better if the people have their own stake and buy-in for this lie.
And what's their stake? Like, because she would never want to be found out. Like,
Yeah.
Potiphar wife. That's the stake that she
Yeah.
has. So like, she has to live with that their whole life, and to have my daughter not me. Yeah, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I'm just curious, from the Torah's perspective, like a Jew with a non-Jew kind of thing, like we see.
There were no Jews yet. Everybody married non-Jews.
No, but like Abraham said, I
He
want
married a girl from his old community. She wasn't a Jewish girl, meaning
Oh,
Jewish
I thought it
doesn't
was
start
like
till
from
Matan
his
Torah.
family in the-
Right, but all the Shvatim marry girls from all over the place. They become part of the fold, just like Leah and Rachel become part of the
So
fold.
Sarah, no
But
one's Jewish. Sarah,
No one's Jewish. No one's Jewish.
Just have these qualities though, of all these amazing qualities of.
And we
Everything
hope
we talk
everyone, when
about.
they're choosing their better half, is looking for good qualities.
But like we say, Sarah Imenu, Rivka Imenu, and the
Right, those, but none of the Shvatim's wives, do we even know their names to call them
But I'm
Imenu?
saying Sarah, we're saying Sarah and Rivka are not Jewish, but they're we call them Imenu, and they have all the traits of the things that we want
Yeah.
as an like, it's interesting.
I think Ulai, I could maybe argue the men because of a Brit Milah, but even that is a little bit of a harder stretch still. Okay, so he marries Asnat and he takes over Pasuk Mem Vav. And for the first time, we get an understanding of how much time has passed. V'Yosef ben Shloshim Shana ba'amdo lifnei Paro melech Mitzrayim. Yosef is 30 years old when he takes this position with Paro. Vayetze Yosef min lifnei Paro vayavor b'chol eretz Mitzrayim. Right, and he is pranced around the country for them all to see this new leadership.
What pasuk is that?
That was Mem
Mem
Vav. I'm about to start Mem Zayin. Vata'as ha'aretz b'sheva shneha sava likmatzim. Right? Wow. He wasn't joking, right? These 7 years are fan-freaking-tastic. Pasuk Mem Chet, Vayikbotz et kol ochel sheva shanim asher hayu ba'aretz Mitzrayim, Vayitain ochel ba'arim, ochel stei ha'ir asher sevivoteha natam b'tocha. And they are collecting so much food, it's literally through the city, the outskirts of the city. And imagine that the people don't even feel oppressed by this, right? They are given these crazy taxes, no money tax, just food tax, but they still have so much excess. So they're not even mad at the government. They're not even frustrated because it's cray-cray how much we got, right? So he is just collecting and collecting and collecting. Pasuk Mem Tet, Vayiv Tzbor Yosef Bar Kichol Hayam Harbe Ma'od, right? He collected like the sand at the beach, right? That's how much. Ad ki chadal l'spor, ki ein mispar. They couldn't even keep count. They had past numbers that they could count. Uli Yosef Yulad Shnei Banim B'terem Tavo Shnat Harav. In the 7 good years, he had 2 sons. Asher Yaldalo Asnat Potifera Kohen owned, right? Who Asnat was the mother of. Vayikra Yosef et Shem HaBachor Menashe. He names his first son Menashe. Ki nashani Elokim et kol amali ve'et kol beit avi. Because God helped me try to forget all of my suffering and my family. Pasuk Nun ve'et Shem HaSheni Kara Ephraim. And he names his second son Ephraim. Ki Hefrani Elokim be'eretz ani. Because God has literally blessed me and made me so fruitful and established almost in the land of my suffering.
Is it the same sort of word as Parnasa, Ephraim?
Oh, no, because there's no Samach.
There's no same.
But these 2 names give you this insight of how much pain he's been in all these years. Right? We put up this, we see him with the facade of the ego and the arrogance and the confidence. But this is his raw, vulnerable emotion. This is the land of my suffering. Right? These 13 years have been suffering. Even, you just became second to the king. But I will look at Egypt consistently where all my pain was. And I'm working so hard to forget all this and to forget my family, right? To be able to move past this.
But he's still called Yosef this whole time. He's
The
called
text
Yosef.
will always call him Yosef. Yes. Similar to Daniel. Daniel will always be referred to as Daniel, unless Nebuchadnezzar is calling him directly. But what's so powerful to me is the inverse. No one calls Esther Hadassah. It's just that one line that we're told, oh, her real name's Hadassah, but she goes by Esther. And it's just like, what? No one wants to call her Hadassah? No. Even us? Even the book? Nope. She's just Kulo Esther, right? There's so much to unpack of the differences between those three and how they handle everything and who they save and why they save and how they save. It's intriguing.
And he used Hebrew names for his children.
Yes, he uses Hebrew names for his children 100%. Pasuk Nun Dalid Vatichilena Sheva Shnei Hara'av Lavo Kasher Amar Yosef. And the 7 bad years begin, just as he had warned and said. Vayihi Ra'av B'chol Ha'aratzot U'B'chol Eretz Mitzrayim Hayalechem. Right, when it says Ha'aratzot, the Middle East, right? The Ra'av has hit the entire Middle East. And the only place with any sustenance is Egypt. Pasuk Lamed Hey. Vatirav Kol Eretz Mitzrayim. Everyone starts going into starving mode. Vayitzak ha'am el Paro lalachem. And they are screaming at Paro for food. Vayomer Paro l'chol Mitzrayim l'chol Yosef asher yomar lachem tasu. I can't help you. You can go to Yosef, and he'll tell you what you need to do. Pasuk Nun Vav v'harav haya al kol pnei haaretz vayiftach Yosef et kol asher bahem vayishbor leMitzrayim vayachazak harav be'eretz Mitzrayim. And he rations out the food personally. Can you imagine? Not only can you not go to Amakolet, but you got to wait online for the second to the king to get access to food. Mind-blowing. But now it's getting worse everywhere. Pasuk Nun Zayin v'kol haaretz ba'u Mitzrayim al shbor el Yosef ki chazak harav b'chol haaretz. And it's not just the Egyptians who have to wait online for Yosef. The whole Middle East is on their way because this is the one country that figured out how to save. Perek Mem Bet. Vayar Yaakov ki yeshever b'Mitzrayim. Right? And now we finally get the zoom out to appreciate that they are suffering in this famine. So Yaakov sees, aka whether it's Ruach HaKodesh Nevuah, hears through the grapevine that Egypt has food. Vayomer Yaakov levanav. Yaakov turns to his sons and says, Lama titra'u. Vayomer hinei shamati ki yeshever b'Mitzrayim redu shama v'shivru lanu misham v'nechyev lo namut. Right, guys, we got to get it together. If Egypt has food, right, go down and get us food. Now, what's amazing is in every other story in Tanakh where there's a Ra'av, do you just send delegates to bring back? What do you usually do?
Go to the place.
You go, you move in for a short term. Now, so the question is, why isn't he interested in moving in short term? Maybe it's personal, and maybe Egypt has set up blocks. We don't want the entire Middle East moving down here, right? So we'll let you come buy whatever you need, and then go back, right? So that is what Yaakov is asking the brothers to do. Pasuk Gimel, Vayerdu achei Yosef asara l'shbor bar mitzrayim. And 10 of Yosef's brothers head down, bless you, to go get food from Egypt. Pasuk Dalid, ve'et Binyamin achei Yosef lo shalach Yaakov et achav ki amar pen ikra'enu ason. But Binyamin he does not send because Yaakov says, oh, I can't handle if something happens to him. Right? This is a scary journey. I can't handle it. Now, at least for me, my imagery always was Binyamin was a little kid. Right? I want us to just do math for a minute.
He's not a little.
He is so far from a little kid. If
He's got 10
Yosef was 30 when he became second to the king, how old is Yosef now?
44.
Not yet.
Oh.
We had 7 years of good.
7 years, right.
And now we're
37.
into the Rav. So let's say we're a year or two into the Rav. It'll say later that it's 2, but we're not fully there yet. So Yosef is 38, give or take.
Yeah.
Binyamin wasn't that much younger than him. Not only is Binyamin not that much younger than him, when we get to the parak where the 70 family members go down, guess what? Binyamin has a wife and kids. He is not a little kid that his dad is like, oh sweetie, you can't ride your bike, because your helmet's broken, right? This is not that situation, which helps us tap into what this family dynamic is looking like. This guy is married with his own family, and his dad is saying, oh no, you can't go. You can't go because something might happen to you, and if something happens to you, I can't handle it. Oh, okay. And in case, right, the text is really saying, in case you wondered, what happened after Yosef got sold down to Egypt? Did Yaakov move on from the concept of favoritism? Clearly not, right? He's just rechanneled it into Binyamin. Pasuk Hey, Vayavo b'nei Yisrael l'shpor b'toch habayim, ki haya ra'av ba'aretz Canaan, right? So the 10 brothers go down to Egypt because this famine is bad in Israel too. Pasuk Vav, Yosef hu ashalit al haaretz, hu hamashpir l'chol am haaretz. Right? Yosef has designed a system where he meets each person personally. Vayavo achei Yosef, vayishtachavu lo apayim arza. All of a sudden, the 10 brothers walk in and bow down to him. Now I know we're not Yosef, so we aren't tapped in the same way he is tapped in. But the second he sees that, what flashes before his eyes? The dream. Oh my God. This is how it's coming true? Wow. Didn't see that coming.
Could it be you orchestrated it in advance? You know what I'm saying?
It's prophetic, meaning his
No,
dream
but
was
the
prophetic.
fact that he was the only one to give out the food, like you wanted,
Oh,
maybe he orchestrated.
Yes, many
so
Mefarshim
that-
say he did it because he wanted to know when they were coming,
Yeah.
100%. But the bow down scene
Yeah,
is like a flush of water and like cold water in the face of, oh my, right? Pasuk Zayin, Vayar Yosef et achav, Vayakirem. He recognizes them immediately. Vayitnaker alehem, Vayidaber itam kashot. He starts yelling at them and speaking harshly to them. Vayomer alehem, and he says to them, Me'ayin batem, where are you people coming from? Vayomer, when they say Me'eretz Canaan, Lishbor ochel, we're here from Israel, we need to get some food. Vayaker Yosef et achav, vehem lo hikiruhu. Right? The text is letting us know that yelling at was almost a test. Right now they hear my voice. Anything? Anything? No? Still nothing?
I
Okay.
guess Power did a good job changing his own identity. And
Right, but it's also when you're looking for someone versus when someone is not looking for you. Right? Pasuk Tet, Vayiskor Elokim et hachalamot asher chalam lahem. And then Yosef remembers those dreams. And if you are Yosef and you are remembering your dreams, what just ignited inside of you? This was only dream 1. What's dream 2?
It was with Yaakov.
Yaakov's coming, right? AKA, what was just confirmed to him without even asking?
His father's alive.
My father's alive, right? If dream 1 just came true, it's just a matter of time. Okay. Vayomer alehem, and he says to them, Meraglim atem, lirot et ervad haaretz batem. You are spies. You came here to spy out my country. Vayomru elav, and they say to him, Lo, Adoni, no, it's not true, my master. Avadecha ba'u lishbor ochel. We are only here to collect food. Kulanu b'nei ish echad nachnu, kingnim anachnu. Lo hayu avadecha meraglim. Oh my gosh, because he's like 10. Who has 10 guys who look so similar? This is crazy. You're spies. You're part of an army. No, absolutely not. We're all the sons of one man. We are not spies. Vayomer alehem, and he keeps pushing. Lo, ki ervat haaretz batam lerot. I think you came to spy. until they give more information. Vayomru, Shnei Masar Avadecha Achim Anachnu. We are 12 brothers. B'nei Ishachad, all the sons of one man, Be'eretz Canaan in Egypt. Hinei Hakaton et Avinu. The youngest is with our father Hayom. V'ha'echad einenu. And one is no longer with us. Right? And what's so powerful about that phrase is it's very ambiguous, technically, right? In modern times, it has a clear connotation, but he is no longer with us, however you want to interpret. Pasuk Yudalad Vayomer Aleichem Yosef, Hu asher dibarti aleichem le'mor merag lematem. I still believe you are spies, but bezot tibachenu chei paro. Here is my test, and I swear in the name of Paro. Im teitzu mizeh. I will only believe you if I get to meet who? The youngest brother you talk of. Shilchumi kemachad. I just want you to send one of you back home. Go get this youngest brother. Va'atem yasru. The other 9 of you I'm going to put in jail. And then I will know if you're telling me the truth. Ve'im lo, but if you are lying to me, then I will know you are spies. And brilliantly puts the whole plan into place. Pasuk Yud Zayin, Vayasofo tamel mishmar shloshi yamim. He throws all 10 in jail for 3 days, right? I want you to sweat it out a little bit, right? I want you to feel the angst. So he puts them in jail for 3 days. And then, Pasuk Yud Chet, Vayomer Aleichem Yosef b'yom hashlishi, on day 3, he brings them out again. And he says, Zot asu v'chyu. Here is the only way you're going to live through this. Because, etelo kimani arei, I am a God-fearing man. Right? I am not cruel. I'm not doing this for me. I fear God. Im kenem atem achichem echad yaser bebeit mishparchem. And because I'm so God-fearing, aka I'm so nice, I'm not just going to send one home. Because to send one home, that guy can't carry so much food. And you guys told me you each have your own family. So I will send 9 of you, each with food for the entire family, and I'm going to take one of you here. Pasuk Chaf, ve'et achichem hakaton taviu elai. And then you must bring me back your youngest brother, Vayamnu divrechem, and then I will believe you. Velo tamutu, and that will be the only way you don't die. Vayasukim, and you must do this. And then that pasuk we looked at when we were in Lamed Zayin, pasuk Chaf Aleph, Vayomru ish el achiv. And they start saying to each other, oh my God, Aval Hashem mima nachnu alachinu asher ra'inu tzarat nafsho b'hitzananu elenu v'lo shamanu al kain ba'alenu atzara hazot. Oh my God, this is what we would say in modern times, karma, right? What goes around comes around. We did that to Yosef. We made him suffer and didn't have mercy on him. And now what goes around comes around, and this is what's happening to us.
I just want to ask you a question about this word vayas. So, it's like speaking of karma, it's like the opposite. Like they threw him into a pit. And is there any significance to that? Like he's gathering them to put them in jail. Like why that word? Why
Where
not,
do you
like,
see the word vayas?
in Yud Zayin? Vayas.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Chaf Aleph and I don't see what you see.
Oh,
Oh, he like gathers, yes, lie, that vision of being thrown in. Yes, 100%. Pasuk Chaf Bet, right? And I say with love, it's very hard to love you, Ruvain, in this moment, right? Vaya'an Ruvain Otam, right? When all the brothers are like, oh my God, this is because of what we did to Yosef. Oh my God, God is punishing us, right? What does Ruvain say? Halo amarti aleichem lemor al tachatu bayeled velo shamatem. Told you so, right? I said it then. I said we shouldn't do it, and nobody listened to me. V'gam damo he needed a drush, and you're right. What goes around comes around. And you're just like, really, Ruvain? No one likes the I told you so person, right?
They don't like it, and he is saying it, but he is right. Like, had you, even if it was for his own ego, like even if it was for his own ego, sorry that you don't like it, but you should listen, whether it's for bad reason or not.
True, but usually in that moment, it's
help
really
them
not
out.
helpful to hear.
But
Right, timing is everything. And the final pasuk for tonight, Chaf Gimel, V'hem lo yadu, ki shomea Yosef, Yosef heard all of this, but they don't realize, there's been a translator between them the whole time. Sorry, one more pasuk, I lie. Pasuk Avdalid, Vayisov me'alehem vayifk. And he has to excuse himself for a minute. He turns away to cry, right? I want you to feel everybody's pain. Because I can argue maybe he's crying because they brought him back to 20 years ago and that feeling. Or maybe he's crying because he so badly wants to tell them who he is, but he has a plan that he is waiting to fully enact, and it's just not ready yet. So he has to hold on through all of it. And personally, I think it's the second. And I want you to understand that he's gonna look so cruel in so many moments, but appreciate how hard this is for him.
I kind of wonder how he came up with this plan so quickly, because he didn't know to expect them.
He
Maybe
assumed.
He assumed you at some point. You think he worked out this whole
No,
plan,
he had
all
to
these
do
stages of how he would
I
act towards
no,
them?
I think the second he saw me 10, that's when it all came to him. Because don't
The
forget,
second he
that
saw
actually
what?
wasn't the first
10
dream.
of them.
The first dream wasn't 10 bundles of wheat,
Then we leave them.
it was 11.
Hmm.
And therefore, what's the first pit in his stomach?
Something happened.
Oh my God, they did this to Binyamin too. Oh God. And then they come up with this whole thing, one is no longer with us, but Binyamin's home. And then he means it literally.
Show me.
Show me. I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
And if I see it, we'll see how far I take the plan. But it's that fear when Binyamin doesn't walk in with the rest of them. All right, we're gonna pause here and we'll pick up Ezra Hashem next week.